Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Ultimate Invasion Tradeback. Ooh. Now this collects Ultimate Invasion issues 1 through 4 by Jonathan Hickman, Brian Hitch, Andrew Curé, and Alex Sinclair. One of the last survivors of the original Ultimate Universe, the Maker plans to ensure that Earth's mightiest heroes never become heroes at all. And then he can reshape a defenseless universe into exactly what he wants it to be. Timelines and dimensions collide, and at the end of it all, the world outside your window will be forever changed. But how does Miles Morales factor into the Maker's plans? Visionary writer Jonathan Hickman presents the next revolutionary epic alongside superstar artist Brian Hitch, who helped redefine superhero comics with The Ultimates. This is $24.99, and this one was interesting because I was seeing what was kind of going on and wanted to see what was going on with the Ultimate Universe, hearing good things about Ultimate Spider-Man, and this, of course, I wanted to get into Secret Wars for the MCU, but also to link up with this. So the Maker factors pretty heavily on this. We see the beginning portion, pretty much him getting out of a detainment thing, which is really fucking crazy. The artwork really sells it as we get pretty much this prison break that he has orchestrated, and he wanted a certain specific set of people because he pretty much recombines them into a facsimile of himself to make sure that he could get away without being seen, that they wouldn't know that he was gone. We see that Reed Richards and T'Challa are like, what the fuck's kind of going on with this shit? The Blackguard building. It's like, okay, who was here? As we see damage control, remote prison, quarantine, having certain kind of people there, and of course the Maker being one. And they're like, oh shit. They start linking it up with the Maker, and they see it kind of just, this is nuts. It just goes, blah, and it just fucking dies almost immediately. And they're like, what's he fucking doing? We see that the Maker pretty much gets in the Baxter building and is downloading kind of stuff. And it's like, oh god. And we see that the Illuminati's called back into play with Stephen Strange, Iron Man, Black Panther, Professor X, Namor, and Black Bolt. And they're like, okay, he's been doing all this shit. We see that he went to Wakanda and stole enough vibranium to forge something. He goes to Adelan of the Inhumans for Terrigen spheres. Stole a bridge of Reed that he was not supposed to know that was in storage. Somehow got a mutant gateway. And he also got the immunity lance found in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And also fucking got into Atlantis as well. And they're like, what the fuck's going on here? It's a message to the inevitable gathering of the group of us. Some kind of unmistakable grand gesture. Talking solely for the children he wants us to know. And we see that he goes to Miles to be like, hey, you want to come with me? We're two people from a dead universe. And he said, now this is interesting because this Reed Richards, the Maker, is a fucking complete asshole. Really Doom-like. He's like, yes, it felt wrong to go and not ask you to come along. I would want to be asked if the roles were reversed. That's like, huh, interesting there. And he's like, nah, I'm good. But then he leaves a card for him. If he changes his mind. It's like weird. And then we see, of course, the Illuminati going after the Maker to stop him as he's got this weird giant contraption. And they can't really do much with it. And the Maker's like, ha. Finished? You know better than that. Do I? I've often wondered if our roles had been reversed. Would I be any different? Would you? It's why I waited. Why I left this trail for you to follow. It was for this moment, so I can ask you one simple question. If you could do it all again, if you could truly change things, if you had the chance, would you erase me from existence? And Reed says yes. And he says, I'll keep that in mind. And that becomes important later on. Now this is a really good money shot there. Yeah. I'm alright with Hitch's stuff. Though, in certain kind of instances, when it's kind of out of focus, when it's more in focus on certain kind of things. Like this one, it's kind of got Reed more in the focus, and Iron Man's armor is kind of a little bit less detailed. But when you got it up like here, it's like, yeah. So we get to Universe 6160. Great Artist Steal. So we see pretty much Peter Parker almost getting bit by the spider, but of course we see the Maker pops up and is like, no, 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 no. I'm gonna stop that shit from happening. It's like, fuck you, asshole. Chapter 2, Down the Rabbit Hole. So, then we get an understanding of what the Maker was kind of doing. He pretty much figured out what was kind of going on and got a lot of data on the heroes and pretty much put his action plan together, went into this universe, and pretty much shifted different kind of courses. Stopping Spider-Man, keeping Thor kind of locked up, Loki in control of Asgard, the Bifrost destroyed, making sure the Fantastic Four never came into existence. Having Howard and Obadiah Stane working more together, saying that there's certain things that he can't stop, like Bruce Banner becoming the Hulk. Tried to look for Captain America, but couldn't find him. We see more of him kind of doing his kind of own thing with his own, very much reminiscent of Doom, but in his own kind of way. We see this kind of list of all the different kind of heroes that he took out of play. That Bucky's dead, Steve is undefined, Jim Hammond is deceased, has the android brain, has the blood sample of Bucky, Robert Grayson, Quantum Bands, inactive, Jack Monroe blood sample, Thor Odinson captive, Howard Stark controlled, Reed Richards controlled, which is like, oh shit, Susan Storm deceased, Johnny Storm deceased, Benjamin Grimm deceased, Hank Pym inactive, Robert Bruce Banner controlled, Peter Benjamin Parker inactive, Janet Van Dyne inactive, Stephen Vincent Strange captive. It's like, ah, shit. So then we see that Howard Stark is pretty much Iron Man doing his own kind of thing, similar to the Iron Man suit that we've seen in the other Ultimate Universe, but its own kind of flair. We see that he is a drinker as well, that Stane pretty much handles most of the politics. He said that he'd go and kind of figure out what's kind of going on with the whole Makers kind of thing. And that's, we get something similar again in Game of Thrones style, but we're trying to learn the politics of what has gone on. And the Maker really controls this universe, and it's really fucking sucks. And very reminiscent of like tech fiefdoms and shit that people are trying to make. And of course, Stane being like, you have no idea how it protected us over the years. Seeing that we've got a Hulk that's under control, it is said that the enlightened children of eternal light shine as brightly as they do because they are in the shadow of the protective hand of their highest holy man, the legendary and immortal Hulk. A testament to the power of serenity and the epitome of those who resist the seductive call of rage and revenge. The unforeseen consolidation of the three Pacific clans who would lay claim to the seat of power. It was the open hand of the ascendant Harada Yashida alliance that gained supremacy of only under the white flag of peace. The Rasputin family needs no introduction. Infamy and fear precede them. Biology and evolution will relentlessly pursue them. As we see Magic Colossus and Omega Red, it's like, what the fuck? And of course, the Maker comes out of his fucking place, kind of like Willy fucking Wonka. Got kind of protectors and everything. And he's like, well, I'm waiting. As we then see this craziness of like all these like Captain Americas, Thors, Giant Men, Wasps, everything. And everyone's like, oh shit, just the Maker and the other acceptable targets. No one else. It's like, okay. This starts going completely nutty. Stane armors up in kind of like an Ironmonger War Machine kind of style. This is really kinetic and crazy-ass action. I have to say that it's nice that we're getting world building, more building, while also getting action as well. As we see a Vision 1 pretty much crack him, and he gets blown up, and Howard's like, ah, shit, my friend's dead. We do see the Hulk kind of pop out. He's like, ah, fuck me. We see that the Makers decided to rely upon Howard Stark to see what's kind of going on. That he's also captured the rest of these Ultimates, and pretty much is like, okay, I'm trying to erase them from history. No snakes, no tails, want to find out? How are you going to? And of course we see that somebody's pretty much been utilizing people in the past and creating these kind of like clone things, and he's decided to wipe them all out. It's like, fuck you, Maker, to kill that kind of army. It's like, why? You know they're going to do the same to you, right? Find you in your crib, erase you and what you've done. That won't work on me. Why not? Because I was born here. Not in this place, on this planet, or even this universe. I'm fully formed. They come for me, and I have to be at the height of my powers. They did, and my friend died because of it. Come with me. I want to show you something. And this brings us to the kind of main crux of the Immortus engine, and he's like, I don't know what's kind of going on. Something's kind of wrong with it, and I kind of need you to fix this. Annihilate the future. You destroyed their past. This won't be the end of it. This was just your first encounter. No, it was the second. The first one was 2 weeks ago. As he pretty much was going, and he got fucking blasted. That's great art to show that, of course, that would affect the Maker, but he's able to move his shit around, so it didn't kill him. My memory is impaired, flawed, and fractured. I can't trust what I remember because I am remembering things incorrectly. What I do know is that I need you, more than anything else in this world and maybe others. Why? Because, Howard Stark, I believe you are going to be the one who built this. It's like, okay, but then that's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we see that he's able to go home and deal with what's kind of going on. Tony's trying to kind of like help him, trying to figure out what happened in Latveria. We then, of course, get through into the third one as we see that he figured out what's going on with the world, that it has been pretty much divvied up by these powers. Emmanuel da Costa. We've got Ron Khonshu. We've got the Sword of Might and Amulet of Right for the European Union. Of course, we've seen the Harada Yoshida Alliance in the Pacific. And we just see this actually has a nice different kind of flow as well. It's more kind of like structured kind of paneling layout. But we see that Howard is like, what? You think you're forgetting the Eastern conflict? And what about that event in the Pacific? And what about the winter apocalypse? I could go on. Ask any man in the street and they would agree. As would history, as would I. That is the world as you know it. Look around this place and you will see that there are 7 major territories represented. And though we have not yet fully circled the sun, when our time has come, each of our nations will play the adversary just as the Rasputins do now. It's like they're just playing the same kind of game. Here's one hand, here's another, and Howard is just fucking... no. But most are incapable of maintaining that state in perpetuity. They can't handle the quiet. They can't let their action be inaction. They can't maintain serenity with all the hysterical babbling that surrounds them. I wish it wasn't true, but it is, and always has been. So, of course, focusing on the shortcomings of mankind's nature makes it easier for those in this room to gloss over the other major reason we do this. The little people hate us, we giants who rule the land. It's not how it used to be in ages gone by. Back then it wouldn't have mattered. The powerful would just roll right over the powerless if need be. We could build an empire on their bones if we wanted. But now they are a collective, instantaneously aware of just how many of them there are, and how much they uniformly hate people like us. Fuck you, asshole. Goddamn asshole. Of course, wanting to know what the real work is, and what's kind of going on with this state. Of course, giving us an idea of the world and how it's divvied up. Seats of power. Got the North American Union, regional subsidiaries. It's pretty much like fucking corporations and shit. It's like, oh my god. So it's like, alright, I gotta do something. And then there's the small matter of Limelight leaves. There's right and wrong, Dad, and this is wrong. No, it's worse, because you're mistaking right and wrong for good and evil. It's like, oh god. Do you really think Obadiah knew? I don't know. I'd like to pretend he didn't know, and he was the guy I always thought he was. I'd probably never get a real answer to that. I'm not sure I want one. What? You should fight them and win. Like, yes, Tony. So we see that he pretty much goes to work on the Immortus engine, and we see that, given the chance, he has locked up this universe's Reed Richards in a Doom mask, pretty much making him Victor Von Doom. As we get the epilogue on this chapter, we see that he had fought pretty much Kang the Conqueror, and that Kang's coming for his ass in a very reminiscent Iron Man suit. Now, we don't know who this is at this point. It could be either a different kind of Howard or a different kind of Tony. I'm leaning more towards a Tony, as we see that Howard and Howard and Reed start pretty much working on trying to fix the Immortus engine and doing their own kind of plans. And now there are two Immortus engines, so they've got two of them now, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And of course, how the Maker has been fucking with Reed all this time. So we get to the last chapter, as we see that we get a really awesome looking Doom suit there, as Howard is in his Iron Man suit, pretty much trying to deliver the Immortus engine. However, things go completely and utterly insane. We see that Doom now has a thing to deliver to Tony and is able to escape. Bringing up that like Howard made his own version of the Immortus engine, and the Maker's like, oh, I'll make it and copy it my own way. And he's being tired of choosing which monsters are more acceptable. You don't deserve me. You deserve each other. I've interrupted the city's mainframe, dropped the temporal shield, and of course letting Kang and his army in as they're fighting. It's like, oh, this is not going to be good. And that's just insane looking, just seeing all of that as they're fighting. It's like, oh my god. Talking about how Howard's playing his own game. This isn't a game. You need to be stopped. Stopped? I'm just getting started. And you're just an ignorant, ungrateful child, rejecting your environment like the world you exist in just happened. Well, it didn't just happen. I happened. And these people are here to erase all my mighty works, including you. So you can run and hide, or you can fight inevitability. The choice is yours, Stark, though it matters very, very little. As brilliant as you are, you couldn't be more wrong. I have a third choice, and I'm going to take it, as we see him fighting the rest. Of course, Kang saying he's waited 2 lives for this, and now that moment is here, as this is a great shot. Kang and the Maker fighting. It's like, holy shit. Howard pretty much is getting like fucked up. We see the Immortus engine getting screwed over as well. And of course, the Maker now remembers him as he popped up. You are here now, as you always were going to be. You are the Maker, and I've been waiting for you. For revenge, for reverence, who am I to you? You are my Maker. And what you now witness is my origin. I remember you. I remember who you are. So do I. Mortis engine dampener off. Critical breach moment. What are you doing, Stark? Isn't it obvious he's solving 2 problems at once? Just look at him. Look at how righteous he is. It's like looking through the fog at some hazy remembrance of what what was. No, it's like looking into the mirror. And he pretty much utilizes and hating what you see to create a kind of temporal kind of field around the city to kind of keep the Maker in check. Of course, Doom is thinking, what's kind of going on here? Why am I waiting? Of course, he's got his own Immortus engine. We see that Reed pops off the mask of Kang, and is sad. 1 week later, just look at it. Like some kind of outrageous ticking bomb. It's a fitting legacy for our dear disappeared leader, no? Some elaborate game that ends with all of us dead. What do we know exactly? Not enough. Like it's closed off for 2 years or whatnot. 1 month equaled 1,000 years. Would 3 months equal 3,000 years? What did he say? He just smiled and said, some secrets are mine and mine alone. So we have 2 years until the dome reopens. 2 years to hold this together. Or 2 years to tear it apart. Or we could just drink and defile ourselves, whatever is required. C'est la vie. This is a time for serious people. You could, at the very least, pretend to be one. So, these powers that be are trying to figure out what's going on, and they kind of set in motion, like, kind of fighting amongst themselves to a degree, or at least planning their own kind of things. It's not complete and utter daggers at the moment, but it's like, oh, this is not good, because they needed that one kind of dude at the top. Of course, Tony is then told about what's going on, and the world was ending, Anthony. The future colliding with the now. Temporal kings were being overthrown and multiversal evils were being undone. but bringing those things to you was my most important task. The machine, the broken Immortus engine, which you and I have already repaired, the secret files you showed me, and this, a letter from my father. Well, I have some notion of what could be done with these things, the potential of them. He said that you would know what should be done, and so the choice should be yours. Is my father dead? Variables, probabilities, the very character of the man fighting for his life? I'm sorry, but I have no way to definitively answer that question. I'm going to need a suit. And we see him pretty much put one together, utilizing the Immortus engine. And of course, we see that it looks, he's taking the moniker of Iron Lad, which this art is fucking awesome. For now, I'll just be Iron Lad, at least until I've earned a better name, which I think leads us more along the lines that he's the king of the future. So we see epilogue as they're kind of going through. They knew that Captain America was missing, so they were able to go there and get him for their own team, so the Maker wouldn't have him. Of course, reading Howard's letter as we get this as the beginning, and it's like, oh god. So, we got a lot of Miles, we got the Maker. This is a really good Iron Man one there. So, I actually enjoyed this. Very interesting kind of setup to this new, different kind of Ultimate Universe. The Ultimate Universe of the starting of the 2000s, different kind of thing of what you're kind of going for. So, I get that this needed to be different for a different time and a different place. The Maker going in and doing whatever he fucking wanted to this universe was horrendous. Seeing Howard understand that and have that torn away, I like that as our central anchor character. Understanding what's going on, seeing that there aren't heroes here, that they've been pretty much taken out of play by the Maker. And then Howard trying to fix that with, interestingly enough, Reed Richards. And it's funny how, even though we see that the original Ultimate Universe Reed Richards essentially became a Doom Reed Richards, he then created another Doom that was more kind of like our Reed Richards in this universe. So we'll see what kind of goes on with that, because that dovetails into like Ultimate Spider-Man and the rest of them, as Tony is trying to prepare for the Maker's eventual return and to stop his ass. So we'll see how that kind of goes. I can understand why people are into this and into this universe. I think Hickman did a pretty decent job on this, because it's a more kind of balancing act of dialogue and character and world building, along with action as well. It's a nice kind of little read. I mean, $24.99. It went pretty fast enough. I liked the interesting kind of take on Kang, how the Maker got fucking ass blasted, and having to kind of deal with that. I can see why people have been gravitating towards this, and I wanted to kind of check it out. I'm like, alright, cool. Brian Hitch's art works pretty well. Not usually my most kind of one that I would go in for. He does nice armors and things, does pretty good action. Faces are pretty awesome when they're really up close. So sometimes they look a little bit freaky on certain kind of things, but that happens with any kind of one. It's more often acceptable than not, where it's like, what the fuck's going on there? But I would definitely recommend this. It's a smaller kind of one, only 4 issues collected, and it's a good one to prime you for how the Maker has set up the world, what's kind of going on, what's the kind of state here, if you are interested in going into this. I can understand that it would be probably kind of close to, kind of world events of like how corporations are kind of like taking over kind of thing. So I kind of like that exploration here, utilizing superheroes and supervillains and stuff like that, and how the Maker's attempting to do it and what his game plan is. So those are my opinions on the Tradeback. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.